Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel. And my channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I got to tell you, these recaps are a lot of work, but they're so much fun. You know what I'm worried about, I'm being very honest with you, is that I don't know if I can keep this up. I'm not talking about the work that goes into making these very long but detailed videos that I think you're more and more appreciating. That's not what worries me, because I have a lot of fun doing it. You know, it gets me to explore new pens. It gets me to explore whatever I've got. It gets me to do some, ink therapy, some paper therapy, some pen therapy. Gets me to look at, what's out there. Take a look at the market. I'm going to do it anyway. So, all of that, it's a lot of work, but I love doing it. What I'm concerned about is that I've got to feed these these recaps with novelties, with pens, and I don't want to always feed it with Chinese budget pens. You got some great pens out there that deserve some attention, but if I got to buy an expensive Italian pen or a nice Pilot Urushi pen so that I can feed these weekly recaps, it starts to get a little expensive, if you know what I mean. I don't mind the inks, I don't mind the paper, but I'm finding it more and more difficult to provide you with some variety. So you're going to see that I'm considering maybe putting this every 2 weeks, but I'm, don't panic. I don't think I can do this every 2 weeks. I think I need to do this every week just to give myself some fountain pen therapy. So that's the good news, I guess. But I did want to, just warn you, should I switch gears there, that I may do so. But hopefully everything will be okay. And also the other thing is, never mind, the cost of all this, but it's also that nothing new there that is worthy of any attention. So if there's nothing new out there, then there's very little that I have to say to you. But so far, I'm hanging in there. I got my espresso. I got to tell you, it's Saturday morning. It's now what? 7:30. I've been at this since about 4 o'clock, 4:30, and I'm filming all these segments in different order. But, I've put it all together, and here we are. And without any further ado, stay tuned for Fountain Pen Therapy's weekly recap for April the 27th, 2025. Okay, so we're back, and first segment will be what's new in the market. And of course, I always like to start out with AliExpress, Etsy, just to check it out and see what's new, what's in my pipeline, what I'm thinking about buying, and is there anything exciting out there? I got to tell you, another week of slim pickings. I don't know what's going on, but there's not a lot of novelty out there. But there were a couple of things on AliExpress that caught my attention. So I thought I'd share that with you. So why don't we go to my computer and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here we are. So what do you see on the screen is this, they call it the EDC PEI pens. So for example, there's this PEI titanium alloy octagonal pocket pen. You can have it in Ultim. And from what I understand, this may be titanium, I guess. And you can have it either in Ultim at $37, or you can have this pocket pen in titanium for $43.99. Now, I wanted to show you because I do have the pocket version, and I'm extremely tempted to get, which I liked very much, and I'm extremely tempted to get that titanium alloy. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure why they say PEI titanium alloy. Is it a form of titanium? Is it coated? What is it exactly? I'm not sure. But I did want to show you the Ultim version of that pen. So let me just cut to over here. It is a very nice pocket pen in Ultim for $37. It has that great Schmidt nib. Now, one thing I noted here, this is a little loose. It does cap, but what I've done, the trick I use, is that I lower down this clip, and it keeps it at least a little bit tighter in the posting. But let me show you so this is referred to as the EDC, I don't know, Ultim pocket pen. Now, without exaggeration, I tested this pen before filming, and it had been sitting in my desk, or no, not in my desk, in one of my pen cases for at least 3 or 4 months. Since I purchased this pen, I used it maybe for a couple of weeks later, and that's it. And man, it just wrote right out of the box, without any priming of any nature whatsoever. I really, really don't know why I'm not using this pen more often, but now that I've decided that in my currently inked, I'm always going to have a red pen and a pocket pen, well, this, folks, will be the pocket pen for this week, and may even serve as the red pen of the week. So there you have it. So that's number one I wanted to show you. Let's go back to my computer, and let's go back to the other pens they have. Okay, let me just, here we go. That's the pocket pen. Now, they also have, is this it? I can't find it now. They also had the regular, oh, here they are. Okay, here, right here. So they have just a regular pen, which is not a pocket pen, and they appear to have it in this black version. Or first of all, you get it in the Ultim, just an Ultim yellow version. Then you get it in black. Now, what's not clear to me is whether or not that black is indeed titanium, or is it just another form of Ultim, and it's just colored black. But it does say imported PEI and titanium alloy. When I click on this, it says PEI. When I click on this, is the black. I imagine that this is titanium, but in black. Or is it just the clip that's titanium? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to do a little more digging and a little more research. But I did want to show you, I have the Ultim pen. So let's take a look at that. And then we can, I will leave you to do the rest of the research to see if you're interested in that black possibly titanium version. So let's go to my overhead camera once again. Okay, so this is the pocket version, and I have here the standard pen version. Now I have two. I originally made a mistake. I had ordered this one, or is it this one? No, it's this one. Realizing later that I had ordered the roller ball, I guess it is. But, you know, it's a great roller ball. It does cap a little bit. So this is the EDC Ultim. I say regular pen, if you will, but it's the roller ball. And you know what? It's going to be the roller ball for the week. Very nice. Writes, again, haven't used this pen in a while. So we'll screw that in. Beautiful Ultim pen for, what, 43 bucks? And this one may be even cheaper because it's not the fountain pen. That, I understand, is made out of aluminum, titanium. But a nice looking, well-constructed, very nice pen. So that will be for the week. We'll put it as my rollerball. And here is the fountain pen version of that pen, which now I understand comes in that black and possibly titanium version. Again, this is the EDC. All of the fountain pens, by the way, have the Schmidt nibs. So Ultim, I'm going to say regular model. And again, it has that very juicy Schmidt nib. Fine in this case. Which, of course, you can replace to a bold or a medium. Very wet. As usual, these Schmidt nibs work beautifully. So there you have my three EDC Ultim pens, which you may be interested in purchasing or even looking at the titanium versions. So that's one of the things that I did want to mention. Now, what else have I got for you? Next thing. Oh, I just saw this Jinhao 10 in this frosted, I guess, metal version of it, which I found extremely, extremely attractive. And I got to tell you, this Jinhao 10 is causing a lot of noise, but just because of its quality. Again, let me go to my overhead camera to demonstrate to you. I've got, my version is in this beautiful red, very deep resin. And originally I thought I had a dry issue with this, and people had suggested putting silicone in front of that door, etc., etc. And then only to realize that it was the ink. I've since replaced the ink with another red ink. And let me tell you, I tested this before we published this video or did this video, and it wrote like a charm. Jinhao 10. This is the red resin version. This 0.5 millimeter fine nib is really, really, I wish they had a medium one, but I know that, what's his name? Bobby from St. Pen PPS, I think you go, or Chinese Pens, makes these nibs into medium to fit the Majon A1. I heard rumors that maybe that same nib fits the Jinhao. I'm not sure, but again, if you're thinking about getting this Jinhao 10 for $25, it is worth every single pen, especially if you like this type of capless or vanishing point type pen. So there you have it, and I'll put this into my currently inked for next week as well. So let's go back to my computer. That's what I wanted to show you. Next thing, oh yes, this is the Mahjong X1, and let me tell you where I'm coming from here. Now I know that this is a copy, or is heavily inspired, as they say, by the Mont Blanc Bohème. And I've always been intrigued by the Mont Blanc Bohème, and my French pal Fontaine des Plumes this week, and it's going to be one of my recommended videos, does a detailed review of his Mont Blanc Bohème, which I really appreciated because I was always wondering whether or not I wanted to tinker with this type of pen. It's it's a little finicky, but that the finicky versions or characteristics of the pen is what makes this pen a lot of fun. You pop open this piston here knob, and you have the cartridge inserted. You can turn this, and the nib appears, etc. You can take your cap and unscrew it onto the posted finial or to the knob here, and you can post the pen. So there's a lot of interesting things about the pen, but if I'm going to get the Mont Blanc, and it's not cheap because it's no longer in production, I wanted to see whether or not I would enjoy that sort of an experience. So I'm really considering purchasing this pen just so that I could make up my mind on the real thing. And I guess that's the beauty of having some of these Chinese pen brands inspire themselves or outright copy some of the Mont Blanc pens. And I know Mahjong loves Mont Blanc these days. So there you have it. But that's my reflection and that's my thinking on this pen. What else have I got for you? Oh, Pen Chalet. So we can move ahead. That's the Chinese pen market. There's nothing much other than that. Pen Chalet is this exclusive LeBeuf limited edition. It is $199. I always liked the LeBeuf pens based on the videos that Pen Chalet produces. Some people have told me to stay away from them. But in case you're interested, there you have it. Pen Chalet's got that. What has Goldspot got? Oh, Goldspot's got a bunch of Tom Studio products. And I was intrigued by this Lumos Pro with all the nibs that it offers. So, folks, I've ordered it. And stay tuned. I should be getting it soon. Probably be part of the recap or a separate review next week. What else have I got? Oh, Goulet pens and many others are showing us this Diemine Forever ink. If any of you purchased this ink, let me know. I'm just weary about this forever description. It may be a permanent ink. I don't have that many permanent inks in my collection. I don't like the idea of staining my fingers or my pens with permanent ink. I've never really bothered to research, the whole concept of permanent ink and whether or not I have nothing to worry about. But having said that, some of you may like these Forever Diemine inks, and Diemine's got a great reputation. Take a look at Goulet pens or many other retailers who now have these inks available. For my Italian friends, we have Casa Stilografica, and I just wanted to show you the quality pens that they have on sale. Let me just start from the beginning. What attracted me is this Leonardo Ficina Italiana. Again, they've come out with this beautiful resin. Different looking Leonardo. But again, it's got a Yowo. Yes, it's got a La Fenice branded Yowo nib. But it's a Yowo nib, folks. So I'm not sure. But having said that, beautiful resin. It's got, I don't know what this thing is, but it looks like it's going to be a novelty coming soon. 3rd of May, 2025, the DIY. I guess you can change your Kaweco Sport and give it different characteristics. I guess DIY means do it yourself, right? But that's an option that's coming out. Yeah, you got this Delta. I wanted to show you this. I mean, this is expensive, but it's part of their indigenous people collection. Every year they come out with a pen, and they've been doing that even in the older days. Got some gorgeous pens, but take a look at this. A very nice pen. It just, look at the price here, $1,000. Yeah, nice pen. Little too expensive though. What else have they've got? They've got the new Scribo field of writing pens. They've got this pure cellulose nitrate pen from Leonardo, which looks gorgeous. They've got this new Visconti Dreaming Sunflower pen. That's just out. Yeah, this is the La Firenze Delta pen, or Maiora, I forget which. What is it? Does it say? No. I think that's La Firenze anyway. What else we've got? You've got the Jubileum Nino Marino pen, which is so gorgeous. Limited edition. You got this new Radius with primary manipulation resin, which is very well priced, by the way. These are great pens. We've got another Scribo, two new Scribo field of writing, same model but different, very different materials being used for a great pen. You've got this Dodici 12 Borgogna pen, which I'm very tempted to buy, I've got to tell you. And another Scribo offering. Then you've got the more expensive Pilot. You've got this Montegrappa 007 pen. You've got this limited edition Pelican pen. You've got this Oriole Navlar pen, and another Scribo offering the Navlar Calypso, etc., etc. Take a look at their website. I mean, they're just up to speed. They seem to have all the more recent offerings. I think they're way ahead of the North American retailers, in my view, and their pricing is just fabulous. So there you have it. Do I need to share anything else? No, that's it for. So that's it for what's new in the market. Take a sip of your coffee, and we'll be right back with my next segment. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention. You'll see on the screen here, this is I think these are just photographs from a video published by Food Fan, where he talks about this new pen that you see on the screen. It's referred to as the Mart Ink Mascara ink pen. It's really made for swatching. As you can see, the pen, it looks like a mascara brush. It's made out of metal. It has a pointed tip or a bent tip there, so you can have either a smaller line or a bigger line in terms of how you swatch your ink. I'm looking forward to kind of getting this pen, so I'm just for all my swatching, just to see how it performs. So I thought I'd mention it. Shout out to Footy Fan. Take a look at his, I'll just put on the screen as well, is YouTube video on that particular pen. So there you have it. Okay, so what's next? Well, you see on the screen this polished Naginata, is that the way you pronounce it? I forget now. Nib. That's been intriguing me for some time. You see it, that it comes in, I would have liked to have it in this 1.6 to 1.8. 2 millimeters is quite a bit. Certainly don't want 3 millimeters. I also preferred it in this gold and silver, although you can have it in silver. Now, I ordered gold and silver, but unfortunately I got silver. So I have to reach out to a 365-day stationery store, complain about that. But in the meantime, I'd like to show you the nib in person, as they say. So let's cut out to my overhead camera. Now, what you have before me is the following. First of all, this is a Yobo nib that was in my Asvine J16. decided to remove this Yowo nib from the J16. In fact, we will just keep this aside because it will go back in that pen. Perhaps. We're not sure yet. Let me just find... Okay, here we go. So that's the J16 nib. This is the nib that I just got. Okay, now you'll see it's not gold and silver. It's completely silver. I would have loved to have that gold definition on the kind of sailor motif that you have there. And take a look at that nib. See that nib? So we'll... Now, you know, I generally, because these are just huge architect nibs in essence, I know I'm simplifying things for the purist. I'm not sure I can write with that nib or that I even like it, but I just found this nib too intriguing. And for what, roughly $48 Canadian, I took the die for the team, so to speak. So what we'll do is we will put it into a Yowo feed. That's a Yowo feed along with a Yowo setting. Let me just find off camera. Here we go. I found the slotting. We'll push it down. Does it fit? Not ideal, but that's going to have to do. Now you can see there's quite a bit of space there. So this feed may not be ideal, but let's try it because I just want to put this in my J16. Oh, there's an O-ring there. Okay, so just give me a second. We're going to get that O-ring on, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Here's my J16. I screwed on that Naginata nib. Looks really juicy, I got to tell you. I got a feeling that this is going to be a little too thick for me, but let's just see how it performs. By the way, I inked that pen with this Majon, the darker blue version, which is a great ink, which I recommend. So let's see what this... Now, I don't know what they call it, but they call it a double... Wow. Double layered and it's a long blade. Now, mine was supposed to be gold and silver, but as it turned out, it's just silver. And what I notice is that normal, this is the strokes I'm getting. If I lower it, it's a little thinner. Because now I'm writing with that end. So, but as I suspected, 2 millimeters is just a little too much for me. But you can find its, use for this pen. So if you have to do big headings in a journal or that sort of thing, and maybe artists will appreciate this pen as well. Now, what happens if I hold it up straighter? Yeah, no, it doesn't give me any major difference. If it's, in its right position or just a normal writing stance, it gives you a very, very thick line. Reverse writing, very scratchy. I'm not sure that these nibs are meant to do that, frankly. Not an expert on these nibs, but I think if I could have gotten my hands on the smaller size, the 1.3 to 1.6, when it becomes once again available, I think. But I got to tell you, this is smooth and wet, for obvious reasons. I mean, you could hardly feel this. This nib is really, really nice. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to have to find some use for it. But some of you may already be saying, wow, I need that for this particular use. So there you have it. That's another addition to my family, as they say. And another way to get yourself kind of a new pen just by changing and replacing your nib. Some of you may ask, well, where did you get the other, the Jinao section, or not the Jinao, the Yowo section to accommodate that nib? Well, this is just a box that I have. I've got several of these where over time I've collected feeds of all kinds and settings of all kinds. And, by now I know what Yowo looks like and what Schmidt looks like, etc. So, over time you collect them, put them aside, find a little box for them, and you never know when you might have some use for it. And I got to tell you, this nib, very, very interesting. There you have it. Oh, here we go. See, the double stack is there. And the juicy big nib is there. Now, would things be different if that feed was a little bit higher up? I don't think so, because this is not really a pretty stiff nib. It doesn't have any spring to it at all, so I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's sticking out a little more, so you got to be careful when you screw it in and make sure you're not bumping it and squeezing it and ruining that nib. So I was very careful, and it's not. So now you got it, my J16 with a fun nib. We'll be right back with another purchase of mine. Now we're back. Now I've shown to you some nibs that I bought as opposed to pens, but I also wanted to show you this beautiful new pen that I just got from CYPRESS. Let me just extend that a little bit for you here, and I wanted to show you the packaging. First of all, CYPRESS, great service. They're a Taiwanese company from what I understand. Please check their website. I did publish a video recently about a new pen that I had purchased from them. They have an extremely wide variety of models, and they use all kinds of materials for their pens. Great website. You can find it all there. I will put the website down in the description. They also have in-house nibs, steel, gold, 14 karat, 18 karat, and great pricing. So here's the box that it comes in. Very well packaged. Take a look at this, folks. I mean, it's not the prettiest, but man, is it efficient. Here's your warranty card, just a business card with some details. Then here is the box that the pen comes in. This box is inserted in this styrofoam bedding, if you will, to protect it. So it comes very, very well protected. There's no way that this pen is going to get damaged in transit. And by the way, speaking of transit, I mean, I ordered it, and this thing came within days. Yes, Federal Express. Find Federal Express much better than UPS. Quicker and cheaper. There you go, Mr. CYPRESS pen. So you can remove this. Take a look at this box. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, this is not a cheap box, folks. This is, it's not a paper thin box. Gorgeous. And you open it up, and it has these magnetic four corners that keeps it keeps it on nice, which you can use this box, put it on your desk, and it's just gorgeous. I find gorgeous. Here's the pen. It sits in a plastic sleeve. So if we remove that, there's a bedding. Not much to the bedding, just a bedding for the pen. Put that aside. And here's the pen, folks. Now, I'm not going to go through a detailed look at this pen because I plan to do a beautiful review on this pen. But the material of this pen is unique. I've never had, it's almost like as if I'm putting in my hand a pen made out of porcelain. And the weight indicates that. The smoothness of this design, just a beautiful pen. I never thought the material would be that way. I'm going to leave it as a surprise so you can take a look at, and it's just a teaser I'm giving you today. It's got its own CYPRESS nib. We'll take a look at all these nibs in my review. I'm going to do a comparison between the steel and the gold nibs in the comparison. I will later on, as part of my additional purchases, show you the steel nibs, because with this pen I've ordered all of the steel nibs, the varieties that are offered by CYPRESS. So we'll take a look at that in shortly and perhaps next. But in the meantime, take a look at this pen. I'm just hoping that by merely looking at it, you will be enticed to take a look at my detailed video. So I'm not going to say anything more other than to say, please take a look at my video. Okay, so we're back. So we're going to take a look at, one at a time, what paper do I have to propose for you for this week? And then we'll take a look at some of the inks, and we'll do some swatching, and we'll compare the paper that I proposed this week with the baseline, and my baseline is always TOMOE River, except that what I have to propose for you this week is also TOMOE River. But somehow I have my doubts, and completely unfounded. I just have suspicions, and probably ill-founded, but let me explain. Let me take you to the website on Etsy where I purchased this paper. Okay, as you can see, I purchased 500 sheets of blank TOMOE River paper for 30, well, let me just choose because the prices differ, of course. The A5 is $65, but I get 500 sheets, okay? So you can see you can get A6, B6, A5, B5, or A4. I chose A5 and I got 500 sheets for $65 Canadian, which I got to tell you, when you do the math, it's worthwhile, okay? So it doesn't give me anything more than a description of Japanese Sansen TOMOE River paper, feather light, yet bleed resistant, etc. No pre-punched holes. So it is being touted as Sansen paper. But, you know, the price left me quite surprised. But having said that, let's see what this particular paper will give on an ink swatch and how does it compare. And we'll do some writing. Maybe we'll use the same paper for any of the writing I will do during the entire recap. And, you know, I can give you my kind of final conclusion on that and my final thoughts. So there they are. So let's switch back and go to the overhead camera so I can show you what it is. Okay, it came in this box, very well packaged, by the way. When you open the box, this set was all wrapped up in this very nicely wrapped Kiyase TOMOE River paper, loose sheets, A5, 500 sheets, made in Japan. I'm assuming that this is all in Japanese and not Chinese. And here's the paper. Okay, so as you can see, I'm leaving it in this box so it just doesn't, so I don't, you know, start to crinkle the pages, etc. But what we'll do is we'll take out quite a few. Here we go. Put that back in, and I will store that once again. Get rid of this box. And it will compare to this paper, okay? Now, when I, just the feel, okay? And that's double, okay, here we go. Feels very similar, okay? They're both very smooth, very thin. It certainly looks like TOMOE River, you know, at least on the feel, and it looks. So I guess the next step is to do some ink swatching and some writing on this paper so I can give you my final thoughts. So let's put the paper aside for now, and we'll set up, show you the inks I've got to propose for you for this week. Okay, so we're back, and for those of you who watched my recap last week, you know that this week I was going to continue with the swatching of my Van Diemen's professional collection inks. I chose, I think there's more than the 8 that I have here. It's just the other colors didn't really satisfy my curiosity, if you will, so I've only ordered 8. By all means, check the website. It will be in the description. I have a 10% discount code as well that should still work. And you can see all of the collection there. But I have 8, which is, you know, a great portion of it. Last week, we reviewed these. We reviewed Scarlet, Turquoise, and Violet. And if I can show you the swatch, on the TOMOE River, 1 second. Here's a swatch of those 3 inks. The Scarlet, Turquoise, and Violet were reviewed that last week. And so we can put those aside. What I propose to do this week is take a look at this Prussian Blue, Mulberry, and Jade Green. Those will be the 3 for this week, and we'll reserve these 2 for the following week's recap. Okay, so here you go. These are the 3 inks that I propose, and we'll set up my swatching tools, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm all set for the swatching. Again, the tools that I use for my swatching, and I try to consistently use these 2. I always use this folded pen for my swatching, just because it's steel. I don't like paintbrush or a Q-tip swab or any other method. I think this is a great method. Now, I did already show you right at the outset of the recap this new tool, if you will, that funny looking what is it? I forget the name now that we just what is the name? Here it is. Looking at my notes, Mart Ink Mascara Dip Pen. That's what we looked at. So that may be an interesting alternative. We'll try it out once I am able to purchase it. Okay, just because it's metal, so I think it probably imitates better an actual metal nib than a paintbrush or a Q-tip swab or anything else. So that's what I propose, and let's start with Van Diemen's Jade. Looks like a nice green. And for those of you who have not had a chance to see the bottles, they come into very nice bottles, very thick, sharp, opens up really nicely. Nice and deep for dipping your pens. The hole is nice and big as well. So let's do some swatching here. First, on my TOMOE River, original, if you will. And this is on this TOMOE River Sanson loose sheets that I bought on Etsy. So that's the swatch. And we will do some writing with this very thick dip pen. So again, this is Van Diemen's. Professional. And this is Jade. And I'll just put here Tomoe River Paper Original, just so that I can distinguish the two. So right off the bat, we will put here Tomoe River Paper Sanson. 500 sheets, and I'll know what that means. And this is Van Diemen's. Now, it's whistling on this paper. Okay. Well, we'll keep going. So that's the green. Let's do the violet next. Or not the violet. It's called mulberry. Yeah, mulberry. I like this color. Kind of reminds me of Yamabudo, but I could be wrong. Okay, so this is, again, Van Diemen's. Okay, let's see. I'm going to dip it again because I want to be consistent. Yeah, the writing experience is very different. Sings. So the texture is different, which we all know. So it may very well be Sanson. May very well be. We know there's a, I think if you watch my channel regularly, you know how much I pride in using the original and not liking the Sanson for many reasons. Although many have stated, and well, we'll see with these samples, that actually the inks kind of show their characteristics much better on Sanson than they do on the original Tomoe River. This is Prussian. Oh, I'm going to like this color. It's very nice. Okay, so this is nice and smooth on the original, but listen to what it said. Oh, I forgot to ink it. Sorry about that. Let me just, forgot to do my swatch on the other side. Yeah, even just getting the swatch down is a very different writing experience. So let me just dip that again. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yep, this is Sanson. But just to give you a final look, we'll let these three swatches dry up, and we'll come back and compare and see what it looks like on the other side and see if how these inks perform. Is there any shading, sheening? There's certainly nothing shimmer. I'm staying away from shimmer inks these days, but they look like some very solid, straight up inks for your writing pleasure. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Look, this is as long as I don't have patience for this. There's this little blob here on this Sanson. It's taking a long time to dry. Now we know that, one of the characteristics of Tomoe River is that it does not dry quickly, but this Sanson's taking even longer. On the other side of the coin, again, admittedly, the colors on the Sanson are much sharper than on the original Tomoe River. I'm getting a pretty straight green, flat green and a flat mulberry. Very little shading or sheening. I'm getting a lot more on the Sanson and a much sharper green and it's not reflected in the camera, I think. Even with the blue is much, I don't know, it's punchier, much flatter on the original Tomoe River. And I see a lot more red sheen, on the Sanson than I do on the original Tomoe River. Except the writing experiences, there's some texture there in that paper that makes it such that I just don't enjoy the writing experience. But look, we haven't done any formal writing with an actual fountain pen yet, so we'll reserve all of that for a little bit later on in the recap when we take a look at some pens, etc. So there you have the sheening therapy, the ink therapy for you guys for this week. Okay, so we're back with a little more purchases for this week. As I mentioned, I think on a couple of occasions already now, sometimes we end up purchasing pens when ultimately really it's the nib that counts. And what I've started to realize recently is that I'm exploring more and more and saving a lot of money doing it, is buying actual nib sections or nibs and then just merely switching up or replacing existing pens with the nibs I've purchased. And ultimately, you have some pens that you like, but you want something different, so you can get to replace the nibs, most of which are Yowo or Bock or Schmidt, and replace them with some other brands. And all of a sudden, you have it's like having a brand new pen. So I decided, because I did purchase another CYPRESS pen, as you know, I decided at the same time, the CYPRESS pen that I purchased has a fine, right? We've seen it. This one has a fine nib. So I decided to get the other available nibs, which are, and I got to be able to see, medium, the broad, and the Fude nib, made by CYPRESS, all steel, number 6, with a Yowo nib section. So I can fit them into any Yowo nib section pen that I have. and we're going to take a look at that. Okay, so give me a second. We're going to install those nibs on some pens and do some writing and see what gives. Okay, so just to show you what I'm doing here, what essentially I did is I took this, I have 3 Ranga pens that I know come with Yowo sections, and I took this blue one and simply unscrewed the Yowo nib that was there. Simple unscrewing, not fiction frit. You unscrew it, for those of you not familiar. And I replaced that Yowo nib that was there with this medium CYPRESS number 6 steel. And I inked it with the ink that we just swatched, which is this Prussian blue. Okay, so that's for the blue. To match this Prussian jade green, what I did is I took this other Ranga pen, which I knew had a Yowo nib section. Again, unscrewed it and replaced it with this fine Fude CYPRESS number 6 steel nib. And just to show you how it's done, and I'll do it just on this third one, that we will ink with this, whoa, forgot to close it. Vinci, don't cause a messy now. Okay, sorry about that. I had opened it up, forgot to close it. It's typical. Yeah, so we're going to fill it up with this jade ink. And just to show you how it's done, you take the pen, unscrew it, remove the converter, and just kind of squeeze it here. If you need to grab it with a rubber material, fine, but otherwise just unscrew it. Here we go. We've removed that Yowo nib, and we will replace it with this broad. Yeah, this is the broad CYPRESS, and just screw it back in. Now, as I was doing that live, I realized that this particular Ranga is not a original, you see, it's not an original Yowo nib section. It's probably Bach, although it had a Yowo nib. It's a Bach section. So I switched up pens, and I went to get another, this is just another Ranga, and of course, you could see this Ranga does have a Yowo setting there, so the nib fits perfectly. Okay, we're going to ink that up with this Mulberry Van Diemen's, and then we'll come back and do some writing. Be right back. Okay, so we've inked the 3 pens with these 3 CYPRESS nibs. Let's just see how they write. Same time, we get to see how these inks perform in an actual pen. So, first of all, let's deal with this one. This one is a Ranga ebonite pen with a CYPRESS number 6 steel broad nib. The nib is not flexy at all. It's pretty stiff. The line on this is fairly wet, but I would say to you it's not a real broad. Something short of broad, in my view. Just to compare, what does it look like, or how does it compare to actual Tomoe River? Sorry about that. Let's just see if it's the paper. So this is the Ranga ebonite with a cypress number 6 steel broad nib. No, the line is just as thin. I mean, the writing experience is better on this original paper, but, you know, the nib is still stiff. No line variation, but fairly wet and smooth. Perhaps this is be considered a broad nib in the Asian markets, if you know what I mean. And let's not forget that CYPRESS does come from, I think they're Taiwanese. So they may be, you know, their broad may not be what the Western part of the world considers broad. Certainly not the ebonite, not the Yowo broad, but still nice, wet, smooth nib. Next, let's look at the medium. This is, again, a Ranga, except this is an acrylic with a cypress number 6 steel medium nib. Again, we're dealing with a fairly stiff nib. Okay? And to tell you the truth, I don't see much. Just wet and smooth. Very little difference between the broad and the medium, got to tell you. But in some areas, it's even thicker in the medium. Okay? So there, that is the, let's try it on the other paper while we're at it. So this is Ranga acrylic with a cypress. Yeah, I just don't like the writing experience. Man, oh man. Number 6 steel. You know, I got 500 of those sheets now. Medium nib. Stiff. Yeah, it's wet. And smooth. So, equivalent, just I don't like the writing experience. Maybe I'm just exaggerating, but it's just not the same. But having said that, the nib performs very well. But it is a kind of a stiff nib. There's not much give there. Now let's look at that Fude nib. So this is another Ranga. Again, it's an acrylic pen with a cypress. Number 6 steel, but it's a Fude fine, if you will. And as you can see, if I lower the pen, much thicker than if I write a little more upright, and if I even exaggerate even more, then it's even finer. But, you know, very nice performing Fude nib, though, I can tell you that much. I'm not going to bother with the Sanson. In fact, I'm just going to remove it from the picture. Don't like it. But very nice nib. But, you know, again, you can get all three, and the nib performs very well. It's wet and smooth. Oh, does it do reverse? Barely. We didn't do reverse on the other ones. On the red. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Get you a nice extra fine line on the reverse. Absolutely. Same here. Writes very, very well. So on these two nibs, the fine, the medium and the broad, you get a very, very nice line. Okay, so we're back, and I wanted to show you my currently inked. I got to tell you, this week was a really busy week for me in terms of taking notes and using my pens. You know, sometimes you say, well, you've got 12 pens in there or 12 writing instruments. Do you really get to use them all? That's one of the questions I've been asked. No, not all the time. Sometimes you kind of stick to one and you just like it so much that you ignore the rest. Other times you end up using 2 or 3. But this week I ended up using them all. Just because of the enormous amount of note-taking that I happened to require this week in the workplace. So let me show you the pens I had and how they performed, do some writing, and you get to see different varieties of pens in my collection as well. For those who haven't seen last week, whoops, let me just put that back. To those of you who have been following me, you know already. For those who have just joined, I always have a ballpoint, a roller ball, and a pencil. So those are my first 3. Then I have go-to pens, some mainly for signature, others just for note-taking generally. And this week, let me tell you, these pens got a lot of work out. First of all, this Joya Bella Vista got some work. The beauty of this pen is that it has a Yowo nib, but it's a fine italic. So it gives you that very much sought after line variation, but in a thinner version. Find that when right here, it sticks. So I got to take care of got to do some fine tuning there. There's got to be something there that's not well polished, and that I'm going to look to polishing. But otherwise, very, very nice. Okay, so that was the Joya. The next pen that I really enjoyed, just because of its nib, frankly, is this Leonardo Furore Grande. And this, because it had a nice juicy broad. So Officina Italiana, this is the Furore. I think is the Grande. And what's special about this is this broad nib, which is well polished and fine-tuned and just a joy to write with. Okay. Next one that I really was a workhorse is this other Joya Partenope. Again, so this is the Joya Partenope. And the beauty of this one is that it has, yes, a Yowo nib, but it is a medium cursive italic. So again, the fineness of the side stroke, but thicker downstrokes, gives you some very nice line variation, fun to write with, lots of use. By the way, those 3 pens that I just mentioned, I've had to re-ink because I ran out of ink. This other pen that I really enjoyed is this Talentum Aurora. Talentum that I reviewed recently. Take a look at that video. This is a medium 14 karat Aurora nib, in-house, writes just like an absolute charm. Wet, smooth, never any problems with these Aurora pens, I gotta tell you. Just don't know why it took me so long to get Aurora pens. Only really started my Aurora collection last year. I also have some good use for this stub. There's a stub Edison 1.4 nib on that Jinhao 82 Mini. So this is the Jinhao 82 Mini with a 1.4 number 5 Edison branded, because it is a Yowo nib. So again, fine side stroke, really thick downstroke. Enjoyed this pen as well. Very nice. This pen is empty just because I put it to use. It had a Mayora branded 1.5 stub, Yowo stub. It's got no more ink. The same can be said about these two Rangas. This is another Ranga with a medium. Was it a medium or a broad? Yeah, a medium, but it's got a cursive italic as well. Oh, this one may have actually ink. No, yes, it does. I think this may have been my go-to red pen for the week. So I think this is the NC4 or something like that. But what's fun about it is as a medium cursive italic. So that went very well. The next Ranga pen is empty. This one here, so I won't bother. It's empty. The one that disappointed was this Bock titanium nib, Bock stub. I'm wondering if it's going to write now. This is the Asvine. Yeah, you see, it just, for some reason, it just blocked on me. I primed it. Wasn't working properly. I got to check the feed. I don't know what's wrong with it. Maybe it's the ink. But it was a disappointment. I really wanted to, test out this. Let me just. Yeah, I wanted to test out this pen, and I just never really had the opportunity because of the nib. So that guy's going to get a change or a look because it's just not performing the way I wanted to. But that's Bock nibs are sometimes finicky. They're not my favorite. They get stuck in this bad groove, and unfortunately, you can't do much about it. So there is my currently inked for the week. Stay tuned. I'll show you what I've got for next week. Okay, so I'm back. Let's give you a quick look at what are my weapons for next week. There they are. I have the Zoom. It's actually a set. It has a ballpoint pen and a pencil as well. So that will be my pencil and ball pen for the week. As I mentioned earlier, I will be using this EDC, I guess, Ultim rollerball, okay, for the week, which is very nice. You've also taken a look at this Ultim EDC Schmidt Fine with red ink, along with my pocket pen that you've seen. For the week will be this one. So if I need a pocket pen, throw it into my bag or in my pocket. There you have it for the week. And I've added for the week, and maybe we can just appreciate some of the writing, is this Grail pen of mine, which is the, I find that sometimes you never get to use these pens. They sit there and they're nice in the drawer, but you hesitate to pull them out. It's got my initials right there, you see, VG. It's the Homo sapiens, of course. And this thing usually writes. We shall see how it, you see, it's just, I take it out of the pen case and not a problem. This whole thing about Visconti nibs and how bad they are, and I think it's a kind of it's become exaggerated now, just because of the past. But I have a couple of recently purchased Visconti pens, and I got to tell you, folks, there is absolutely no problem. Now, I do agree that if you're going to spend $1,000 for this pen, that you're better off doing so after having tested the pen yourself, or having the retailer, a reputable retailer, test it for you and ensure that it writes. While you're at it, I mean, it's a no-brainer, okay? But to say that Visconti nibs are unreliable these days, I'm not sure that that's a fair statement anymore. But having said that, I'm going to enjoy that pen for the week. This, of course, you saw, it's got some of my one of my CYPRESS nibs in it. This is the Ranga, and it's got the CYPRESS. This is the broad. Great nibs. I think I'm going to enjoy these nibs this week. They are stiff, but they write beautifully. Smooth, consistent, not a problem. That's the first one. The second one is in here. And this is the medium, I think. Yeah. CYPRESS medium nib. Again, very, very nice. I think I'm going to enjoy this. All week. Very nice. I won't show you this one because I don't want to show you this one just because it's going to be reviewed, so that's going to be a surprise. We'll see how it writes. And then I've got other CYPRESS. It's kind of a CYPRESS week while I'm at it because I've done the video. I don't know if this still has some ink. Yes, it does. So this is the CYPRESS micarta, and it's got that flexible or bouncy 14 karat CYPRESS nib. Again, just a beautiful writing instrument, I gotta tell you. So that's the micarta, and that's the ravishing with a number. I don't know what the number is, but again, take a look at one of my recent reviews. This one is the CYPRESS. Oh, it's got no more ink, but this one has an 18 karat. So I got to put this aside because I think I used it last week as well, or the week before. I'm going to have to ink this, so I'm putting it right here. I don't forget. And then while I'm at it, I mentioned to you this, capless and vanishing point sort of a pen. This is the Jinhao 10, red, beautiful red resin. So it can be used as my weekly red ink pen, along with the others I have shown you with the Ultim bodies. Okay, so those are my weapons for this week. This I'm going to have to ink, and stay tuned for my next segment. Oh, I have a special announcement to make, and I discovered, and you know, this wonderful world of YouTube and influencers and Amazon, and I discovered that I was able to create an influencer Amazon page, fountain pen therapy storefront, if you will, where I can put all the products that I've purchased from Amazon all in one store, my own store, if you will, so that when I show you a product that I bought from Amazon, you'll be able to find it on my storefront, and I can give you a direct link to the product as it is found on my storefront. And at the same time, apparently, they're going to pay me some kind of commission. Now, I don't expect to make any money on this, but I said that's a great idea because I could put all the products all in one place. That's the beauty of it. Now, I heard that if you don't get enough activity in these accounts, they may just decide to cancel it, which I hope is not the case. So please encourage me, if you're going to buy any product, take a look at the storefront. And here it is. Here's the storefront. Let me just cut to my computer to show you. So here it is. It's the fountain pen storefront. And what I could do, I think you can link also videos. And I'm going to start doing that. So if I have any videos that include a product from my storefront, you can take a look at the video and it'll give you all of the products that were previewed or that were shown in that video. So which is great. And I've put everything in here. I've got books on photography and on also calligraphy. I've got all the fountain pens that I've purchased and that I've reviewed. I've got all the inks that I've purchased and reviewed and all the paper as well. I've also added all the equipment that I have in my fountain pen studios to make these videos and all kinds of equipment there that may be of interest. I've got pen accessories as well. So take a look at that storefront. I will put it down in the description, the links, so you can take a look at it and maybe there might be something there for you. But I thought that this would be a very interesting addition to fountain pen therapy. And it gives me an opportunity to feature the video and the products from Amazon. And all you have to do is go into the storefront. And if you're interested in the inks, you want to encourage Amazon in terms of the majority of that price, but also encourage me. Well, there you have it. It's just as Hemingway Jones says, it's just another way to keep the lights on, so to speak. So there you have it. That's my special announcement for you for this week. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're next. YouTube reviews. What have we got for you? I got 2 YouTube reviewers that I think published some interesting stuff. The first one, of course, is my French friend from Fontaine des Plumes. As I mentioned earlier, he did a very thorough review of the Mont Blanc Bohème, which I was really captivated by because I was always wondering if I should get that pen for my collection and whether or not, it's a little bit finicky and it's got its real characteristics, if you will, and it might just turn off people. And others might say, wow, this is just a beautifully designed pen. And that's what's leading me to perhaps purchase the knockoff from Majon. What is it, the X1 that I mentioned? But anyway, take a look at Fontaine des Plumes' video if you're interested in that pen. The other video that I'm also recommending that you watch, just because it led me to discover, it's this one here by Blake's Broadcast. He reviews the Monty Winfield Vario Flex Nib. Really interesting video because he references a website by the name of Monty Winfield with all kinds of nibs. Let me just show you that. So here's my computer. First of all, they sell pens, shop all products. But what's interesting is you can get all kinds of different nibs. Take a look at this. These double stack nibs, these architect grinds. You've got baby whale. Look at these nibs. I mean, fascinating. Some of them are sold out, but he reviews this flex nib. I don't see him getting great results with it during the video, but sometimes it's the ink, sometimes it's the way you use the pen. Anyway, I thought that this particular site is if anybody who's interested in getting some of these weird looking and very, very unique nibs. Yes, some are expensive, but take a look at that site. There may be something there for some of you. At least it's attracted my attention, and I'm going to be shopping around in that and see if I can get anything that suits my fancy. So that's for YouTube reviews. Now, what else have I got? In terms of my own reviews, well, as you know, this week you have my weekly recap of last Sunday. Please take a look at it if you haven't. It's not a recap that necessarily is captured and wasted in time, if you will. It has all kinds of interesting things. All my recaps do. They can be viewed really at any time, other than maybe what's new in the market, which is punctual. It's got to do with that week, but that's a very short segment. The rest, you've got pens, you've got paper, you've got inks. So please take a look at that if you haven't. And of course, I published my Aurora Talentum review. Beautiful pen, Beautiful pen. I'll be using it all week, as I mentioned earlier. What's coming up? Well, I've got about 6 or 7 videos, but what I want to focus on is these 4 for this week, because I haven't quite decided which one will be published. Maybe I'll publish 2. There's the Mahjong collection that I know it's popular. I've done the Asvine and the Ognian. It's maybe Mahjong's turn. I may have to update that video, so I'm not sure whether or not it will be published this week. I've got my Santini Libra Boreal review that I might be publishing, or my Radius Settimo, beautiful Bohemian Twilight pen. And lastly, my Ranga 4NC, that you all seen these pens, but you haven't seen the reviews. So there you have it. Those are 4 potential videos that may be popped up. Stay tuned for the surprise, as they say. So that's it for YouTube reviews for this week. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this once again. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope that you guys had a good breakfast or had some something to drink while you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was informative. For those of you who haven't, please subscribe. At least all that work will be compensated by your subscription. If you like it, please comment, or at the very least, thumbs up. Let me know. It's always well appreciated. Take a look at all the information you have down in the description. I will try to put as much information as possible. And you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun this week, because I've got a lot of those new novelties out that I just showed you. They're going to go, as you know, into my next week weapons. So stay tuned for next week. We'll have more surprises, more therapy for you. Ciao.